What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Broad Street Boys. Today, we're going to be talking about some potential trades that could happen for the Phillies at the trade deadline, who they would target, the recent road trip skid that they had, and why there's going to be a lot of teams that probably should be selling that aren't going to be selling because of how lopsided the teams are this year, with the top-heavy teams being super dominant. And let's get into it. So the Phillies dropped two to the Red Sox, two to the Orioles, and one to the Mets, and went 3 for 5 on the London, Boston, and Baltimore road trip. And what are your thoughts on that? Because I know a lot of people instantly were like freaking out, but like it's baseball. A team is going to
Right.
slow down, a team's going to have a skid. And at the same time, like you look at it, we're still one of the best teams in baseball. We still have a huge lead on the Braves, and we're still ahead of the Dodgers. We still have the number one seed in the NL, and the Baltimore, the Orioles and the Red Sox are two really good teams.
I'm totally with you. I feel like as Phillies fans, we were kind of waiting for some sort of skid to just hit us eventually because we were so hot in May and at the end of April. And then we finally got it. And then for some reason, look at us, really didn't even affect. We're still a ton of games up on the Braves. Plus, we were hurt like no other. Like with Marsh going down, with Turner going down, there's two huge guys going down for us. Thankfully, they're both back now. But I feel like we could both agree on this. Like it's a very scheduled skid that we went on. Like me looking at the schedule and being like, oh wow, we go to London. Oh wow, we have 6 straight road games against probably one of the better divisions in all of baseball. Like
Mm-hmm.
including the Orioles being a top 4 team in all of baseball, give or take. And even the Red Sox, people aren't talking about this enough, but Red Sox are solid. Like that's not a bad baseball team. Like they're hot right now. They just beat the Yankees in a series too. So like they're
Yep.
not just like a pushover team. Um, so a very scheduled skid in my opinion. But I bet they're all feeling good to be back now. I mean, we crushed the Padres last night, so we're just gonna keep on going with that. Um, and it's funny, like yes, everybody keeps going down and injuries keep happening and all that. That's just part of baseball. But at the same time, it's also part of baseball for people to pick it back up, like Amundo Sosa. Sosa, who hit around 280 just recently until Trey Turner came back, but who was hitting 300 for the majority of that part, I think is a huge factor in why we kept winning even without Turner. And I think another thing is the fact that Marsh did go down, which is tough. It actually allowed David Dahl to come up, and Dahl hasn't been awful. He caught fire for those too few games, right?
He stepped up when we needed him.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
was he was really good for us his first couple of games in the London series. He's cooled off big time.
Yeah,
And I think that's part of the reason why they're going to try to have Sosa out in left field until they can figure something out for long term this season.
right.
But we know his role. He knows his role. He's going to be a lefty bench bat with power, similar to a Matt Stairs type player.
I feel like that's the perfect role for him too. I mean, if you think about it, him and Matt Stairs are very similar players in their stature and in the fact that they're left-handed batters and left-handed power batters. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
like that's just what they're there to do, just to switch up the hitter. Now what I would like to talk about before we get into the trade deadline stuff is Rojas going down. How do you feel about that? Because I have my own opinion, but I want to hear yours first.
He wasn't hitting well.
Yeah.
It's funny we say that because you look at a lot of big name guys across the league, Castellanos being one of them. Like he's hitting slightly above 200.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of guys on the Braves, they're not having a great year. Here we are complaining about Rojas not hitting. Meanwhile, he is in the 230, 240 range, which is it's not terrible,
Right.
but he needed to come up with a better approach at the plate, and also his defense. It's been good, has been greater what we thought it was going to be after seeing him last year.
Right.
He only has one defensive run saved, and he has committed 4 errors, which has brought that down significantly.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that we sent him down. Do I think that they're gonna end up packaging him with someone? I don't know. It doesn't sound like that,
Right.
but I think we'll end up seeing him later this season.
Yeah, in my opinion, I actually agree with everything you just said. I mean, I feel like in order for a young player who's only 23, by the way, I feel like people forget about that. He's literally 23 years old.
Hmm.
I feel like for the only way for him to get better is to play every day, and he won't play every day here. He'll go back and forth with Pache and with Dahl, or just with Pache. And I feel like I know from watching other podcasts and also listening to 94 WIP and Twitter, right? Um, it's all about the little stuff with him. It's all about the base running. It's all about taking a good track to the ball. It's all about using two hands to catch the ball in the outfield. It's literally all the little stuff that you can't. It's tougher to like be better at. I guess for lack of a better word, to get better at when you're not playing every day. While I just saw the lineup for Lehigh Valley, he's leading off tonight. So he's going to
Hmm.
get as many at bats as physically possible. So I feel like this is almost going to benefit him. And I actually agree with you. I think we're totally going to see him again. I don't think this is the last we're going to see of Rojas this year. If I had to guess, he's going to catch some fire in Lehigh Valley and then hopefully come back. Um, but I mean, I feel like just him getting sent down is going to do a lot for the mental as well. Because I mean, I feel like I I would assume you agree with me, but I feel like as an MLB player, like as soon as you get brought up, you're so high up, you're like, yes, like I'm here, and then you get sent back down. That's completely different from like you being up there for like 2 months and then being sent down.
Yep.
It's completely
But
different.
remember back in 2022, Alvarado, his first half was terrible. He got sent down to the minors and he came
Yes,
back and he was one of the
Re-
most electric relief pitchers and an absolute stun. And he has been on a tear for us since he got sent down and got brought back up.
right,
So I'm really hoping that if we keep Rojas, the same thing happens with him because it was around the same time where Alvarado got sent back down.
right, and it could have a very similar effect on the team too. And
Hmm.
I mean, at least for me, the eye test. Like I know Alec Bone was struggling over that just the whole road series that were road like many series that we had. And then Rob was like, all right, let's give him a day. Gave him a day, and then he came back against the Orioles with the game-winning hit in the 11th inning at 11:30, 12 at night after the rain delay. So, and then he's been on an absolute tear after that. So sometimes a little change of scenery, a little change of routine is really good for a player. And by the way, which is what they need to do with Nick Castellanos. So I mean, I at least in my opinion, I think this is going to be good for Rojas in the future.
Hmm.
Right. Now, what do you think we should do with Castellanos? Because I mean, obviously, he's kind of like whole, like he's total hole in one.
He's a hot and cold player.
Right.
He's one of those guys where if you remove him from the clubhouse, like let's say there's a team who's willing to pick up his contract, I think that would really mess with and change the dynamic in the clubhouse.
I agree.
Like as much as some guys want to get rid of him, like you can't. You
I
can't.
actually agree
Like
with you.
he hasn't been what we wanted him to be. Like he's been average. He
Yeah.
hasn't been
Yeah.
the 2021 Nick Castellanos or what we saw last year.
Right.
But he has some really clutch moments.
He does.
And I think it's too early to still give up on him. If we come to next season and he's still the sub 200 hitter, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to trade him.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I almost think like I don't get here's my pet peeve with him. It's not necessarily him. It's how Rob handles him. Like, why has he played every single game of the year? He's on track to play 162. Are you
He's one of
kidding
those
me?
when people buy a ticket, he's one of those guys that people want to go see.
I don't want to see him. He sucks right now. So if I'm literally, if I think they should take the same approach that they took with Alec Bone. Give him a day or two. It's not that hard. A little change of scenery, a little change of routine is good. Sometimes when you come into the ballpark and you're not doing anything except sitting there and watch is not a bad thing. It almost opens up a whole different perspective. Alec Bohm has said this, and we've seen it from other players like Bryson Stott or anyone else that has even taken a day. I know Kyle Schwarber benefits off of it, even though he doesn't really take many days. Like at least in my opinion, I just think it would benefit him so heavy. Because I mean, yes, he is 2 for 2 right now, so I like that I'm saying this, and he's killing it. And he was pretty good last night too, so I could be jinxing myself. But at the same time, I feel like just one day off wouldn't hurt you. Like you have Dahl on the bench who's played right field, Like I feel like it
Hmm.
almost benefit him like greatly. You and me are very similar. We root for Nick Castellanos. He's one of the guys with the most aura on this team. Like the home runs that he hits, they are just home runs. They're like either moonshots or he's taking it and flipping the bat. Like there's no in between. Or
Mm-mm.
his opposite field skip home runs, and you know what I'm talking about. He hits it and then
Yep.
he takes a little skip. Like this guy's awesome to watch when he's hot. When he is
And
cold, he's awful.
he's awful, but like think about some of the like it, even though it doesn't seem like a lot, think about some of the moments that he's had this year. In the Brewers series, what he's doing right
Yeah,
now in the Padres series.
I
Like
and I agree.
he single-handedly won us the Brewers series.
He did, and like good. Like I'm rooting for him, but I'm
Hmm.
just saying one game wouldn't hurt. Just one. It doesn't have to even be two or three. Just give me one game. It doesn't like it could even be tomorrow when it's off of a short rest from a 7:05 game to a 1:05 game. Like that's not an abnormal thing to do. They do it with JT all the time.
Hmm.
Like it's not that hard. Like I just need one day, and then I need either to myself to be proven right or wrong, and then I can reassess after. But at the same time, again, we both root for him, so like I just want the best for that guy. So
Hmm.
because when he's hot, I mean, we we saw last year. I mean, there's literally one guy on the list who's hit back to back days or back to back games with back to back home runs, and it's Nick Castellanos.
Hmm.
There's one guy on that list, and he's on our team. So
Like you kept saying, when he's on,
he's
he's a
so on.
stud. When he's off, it's you don't know what to do with him.
It's so hard to watch. I think that's my problem. I think that's my problem. I might have a problem with that because it's so hard to watch when he's off. I mean, like me and you know what's coming. I would say 75% of the time when he's hitting an outside slider from a righty. I mean, it's coming every single pitch. So
Hmm.
like, and it's either and the funny thing with him is if he goes up there with like that disciplined mindset and it's like, okay, I'm gonna wait for my pitch, then he crushes the baseball. But as soon as he goes up there and goes, all right, I'm not gonna walk, he strikes out in three pitches. So I don't know, just something to think about. All right, want to get into the trade deadline?
Yes, yes, I
You go
do.
because this is what you're good at here. I'm excited.
So we know that the Phillies are going to be in the market for a right-handed outfield, preferably corner outfield bat, and also a right-handed relief pitcher, someone along the lines of Mason Miller. Now, as much as we all want to fantasize about the big names such as Luis Ortiz, Luis Robert, Mason Miller, there's a really good chance that it's not going to happen. And I actually think that this trade deadline is going to be super boring because if you look
Agree.
at the NL, every single team except for the Marlins and the Rockies are in the wild card race. Teams like the Nationals, who have typically sold in the past, actually want to hold on to most of the guys that they have. Now, what the Nationals do, and I think is really smart, is they will sign players that are kind of dipping from their prime, sign them to a 1 year deal, and then hope that they get hot and trade them at the deadline. And that's how they have built up the team they have now. And it's a little bit different than with Soto, but like last year they had Jamie Candelario, who they sent to the Cubs and got a decent amount back for him. Now, the interesting thing is that people are actually encouraging the White Sox, who is a team that the Phillies have been linked to several times. People are encouraging the White Sox to keep Luis Robert, keep Garrett Crochet and Michael Kopech because if if they're at they're at the very bottom of the league, trading off your best players, it's not going to help. Keep doing that every year. That's only going to push you back even more and more. You're going to get good prospects back, but if you keep trading your top players away, when they come up, there's going to be no veteran leadership on that team. And it's going to be very hard to find someone really. So I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot that's going to go down. And if a team does trade, um, I could see Oakland selling some guys.
Oakland.
So Luis Robert, he was a name. I think Tyler O'Neill is a good one. Taylor Ward, he will probably be on the market. And Brett Rooker from the A's. He'd be a good power bat.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of defense, but I think that the Phillies need a power right-handed bat. We have Bohm. He's not a home run guy, and he's super clutch, drives and runs. But to have someone complement Kyle Schwarber, that would be perfect. Um, and we could ask the Blue Jays. There's not a whole lot there, but like that's a team that probably won't sell, but should sell. Um, Same with the Astros. They have Kyle Tucker. Yes, he's a lefty, but he is a sudden. They've come out and said that they're not going to sell. They think that they have a chance. They are 7 games back the wild card spot, but they're not keeping a lot of the guys that people are asking them about. Like they are a team that should sell.
I I
Um,
I agree with you 100%.
mhm.
I think it's just a very it's ever since they opened up that extra wild card spot. Um, I think it was going to happen eventually where no one's going to sell because everyone's in it, which is great. Like
Yep.
as a baseball fan, that's awesome. Like I would love to watch these guys.
Here's the thing. We have another month till
True.
it's looking more legit because right now you have the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, and the Mets
Yep.
all within 1 game back with the Reds behind the Mets. I think that the Mets will end up selling. I don't think the Pirates will sell, and I think the Diamondbacks. I think there are a few guys there who you could see go.
Right.
Maybe even the Padres. I mean,
Yeah.
they're the thing with the Padres is that they have a lot of big contracts that no one's going to want to pick up. So it's going to be interesting. Like the Cardinals currently have the second wild card spot, but they're a team that I had selling at the deadline because age is against them. Their pitching is old. Paul Goldschmidt and Arenado are old and on the decline. But they have some outfielders who could be of some value and use to us.
Yeah, I totally agree. The Cardinals are a very interesting team too, because I mean, me personally, I didn't think they were going to be good at all coming into the year, and then all of a sudden they have the second wild card spot. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's kind of out of nowhere for me that they're actually pretty good. Um, and I'm just gonna say it again, like it's just very interesting how the elimination or the addition of that extra wild card spot really makes everybody in. Like again, if you told me the Pirates would not be selling at this deadline, I'd be like, what are we talking about?
Yep.
But at the same time, I didn't really think Paul Skeens was going to come up this early, and then all of a sudden he just came up this early, and Jared Jones is awesome. So that's a very fun team to watch. I'm actually rooting for them to make it into the playoffs because I feel like that's just a fun young team. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's just a very interesting. It's a very interesting time, especially in the National League. The National League is the weirder one, I would say. Would you
Yep.
agree? I
Definitely.
think it's definitely
And,
weird.
it's not going to be easy for Dave to go out there and make any move because
Yeah,
any team that he engages with, Crawford's probably going to be going, maybe even Abel. And I'm sure
right.
part of the reason why we won't even consider Luis Robert is because they will be asking for 3 of our 5 top prospects.
Yeah.
And he's not willing to give up Miller. So I
Right.
think Crawford and Abel, he's perfectly fine giving off. But Miller and Painter, he said, are the 2 guys that are untouchable.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like that because I mean I'm as high on Aiden Miller as you can come. Like I've
Hmm.
seen multiple reports that he's the best third baseman prospect we've had since Mike
Schmidt,
Schmidt. Oh
I
my
saw.
God,
Yep, I saw that too.
that just doesn't come out of people's minds. Like Mike Schmidt is one of the greatest third basemen in all of baseball ever, and the fact that this kid has the potential of a Mike Schmidt, I mean, like wow, that's all I have to say. Like he would like the addition of him in like 2 or 3 years would be great. And he
Hmm.
also falls kind of in our timeline. Like, imagine if Bohm goes through this really awful cold streak, then, or we can just move Miller to either left field or somewhere else. Like we could do a lot of things. We could do a lot of things.
Yeah, there are a lot of things. And I think what you were talking about was comparing Mike Schmidt to the sense of Miller is the best prospect that we've had since Schmidt.
Oh yeah,
Because like he is down as a shortstop, but people are thinking that when he comes up, he's going to be the third baseman. But what impresses me most about him and why I don't want to get rid of him, and I'm super happy giving away Crawford and anyone else, is how
yeah,
quickly he's worked his way up because he was drafted last year. He's now what, a top
Yeah,
Top
right.
25, top 30 prospect in
I
all
think he's 20.
baseball.
I think he's 20-ish,
He's
give or
20.
take. Yeah. I
Damn.
think who knows? Whatever.
Like
He's a high
yeah,
prospect,
like you gotta for someone to climb that quickly, you gotta hold on to them.
right? And the fact that he was 98 when he was drafted, the 98th prospect, and all of a sudden he's top 20, top 25, 23-ish, give
Mm-hmm.
or take. I feel like that's a big deal. And I feel like you only see like the type of players that ascend through the minors like this are special players. Someone that comes to mind is Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens rose through the minors through a year, which is unheard of, or something like that. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's honestly just fun to watch, and yeah, I mean, we'll just see what happens with Aiden Miller. I'm honestly excited. So, yeah,
Yep. So I'm gonna throw out a couple of names and I want to hear your opinion. I'm not like we got a lot of names down here, but these are the guys who I think will be realistic for a right-handed bat. I'm gonna give you Tyler O'Neill, Taylor Ward, and Randy Rosarena. I'm out on him.
oof, yeah,
I he's not having a good year.
yeah,
The
not at
Rays will
all.
probably want a ton back for him. The only thing he would bring to the team is but like aura and swag. That's
Yeah,
it.
and he definitely has plenty of that.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite would probably be Tyler O'Neill, just because of age. People forget how he's only what 27.
He's 27. He's having a really good year.
Yeah.
Like
So that's
Taylor
a
Taylor
thing.
Ward's older, and I don't like his swing,
I agree.
and he watches a lot of strikes. Like he's got a terrible plate vision.
I agree. And Taylor Ward just, I feel like he almost swings like he's a power hitter, if that makes sense. And he's
Yep.
not. Tyler O'Neill can swing at these things because he could send off nukes.
Yep.
And Tyler O'Neill, people also forget that a few years ago he was in the MVP conversation, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yep.
this guy's a stud.
Yeah, we got let's see, two guys on here that were former outfielders at the Cardinals, and then either got traded or sent elsewhere
Yeah,
and
it's
started
happened.
doing really well. So the thing with Tyler O'Neill, he is my favorite. But
Yeah,
what makes it tough is that the Red Sox are in playoff contention,
yeah,
and
it's tough.
unless they had an idea of bringing in O'Neill to
Mhm.
trade him off, it's gonna be tough because he's playing well. We'll have to probably give up a lot, especially if we want to go after a bullpen arm. I don't know how we're gonna do it.
Right. And
But
that actually goes along with the whole thing we're just talking about too, that everybody's in contention. Like
yep.
everybody. Like it doesn't matter if you're good or if you're like 2 games above 500 or 2 games below 500, you're
Hmm.
still in it,
Yep.
which is fascinating to me.
And I think honestly, I think we get O'Neill if we package Rojas with Crawford
Hmm.
and maybe I wouldn't throw Abel in there because I would want to put Abel towards the relief pitching trade.
I agree. I also think relief pitcher wise, I think it's very possible to get Tanner Scott from the Marlins. I've seen a lot of rumblings from that, and I've seen even Buster Only say that. John Heyman has mentioned that. That could
Hmm.
be a very realistic. And I'm pretty sure I saw the other day that he had a 1.95 ERA, um,
Yep.
which is awesome, which is a perfect righty that we have. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like the more I watch Sir Anthony, the more I'm like, wow, Sir Anthony's back. I don't know about you, dude.
And this like can be similar to last deadline where we solve a lot of problems internally.
Right. I think that's very doable this year too.
And I don't that with the outfield that's not doable because Rojas is the only game ready guy that we have had.
Right.
Um, for the bullpen, I think there are a couple of guys that could get brought up. I don't know if they want to try and mess around with McGarry. I know he's struggling.
He is.
Um,
Him
you,
and Abel
yeah.
not doing great.
Hmm.
At least in my opinion, Abel. I think Abel should go pretty soon. How long have we been talking about Mick Abel?
A little while. He was projected to come up this year, and I thought he was going to come up this year
Yeah, me too.
and be lights out. But also like for the bullpen, you have Dylan Kobe coming back. I don't know how much he's going to see the field. You have
Oh yeah.
Junior Marte coming back, who
Yep.
had a really good start to the season,
Yep.
and you also have Luis Ortiz,
Hmm. He's
my
in Reading
personal
right now.
favorite. Yep.
Luis. Luis is in Reading right now doing some rehab. I saw his big ass out there when I went last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a big man. Yeah, but I think even with Marte coming back, Marte was great to start the year. He was actually like kind of fun to watch. That changeup he had was dancing all over the strike zone. It was fun.
Yeah. So it's like, all right. Let me rephrase what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You make one move.
Yep.
Are you going with the bullpen arm, or are you going with an outfielder? Because I think right now,
Yeah.
outfield is more dire than the bullpen. We have a really good bullpen,
Yeah. I
and we
know.
have guys coming back.
It's very even for me, but I feel like a right-handed bat would take it more just because of the last few days. I mean, like, or it's tough. It is tough because I know the two of us have talked about this before, but I'll say it again. Like when you look back on that Diamondback series, who lost you those last two games more? Your bullpen or the fact that your $100 million players couldn't the $100 million players? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's just the reality of it. No one came to hit other than the young guys. And
Yeah, and
if we had another big righty, that's a huge deal.
and a lot of the criticism from the past two postseason runs was the bullpen.
Yes,
It wasn't the bullpen. It was one guy from
exactly.
that bullpen.
Craig.
Yep.
Effing Craig. I don't even want to talk about Craig Kimbrell, but yes, yeah, but I think because of what I just said, I think I would go after the righty because I think we also have nightmares from the Diamondback series
Mm-hmm.
because we would have totally beat the Rangers in the World Series, but
Oh, did we would have swept them?
I think we would have swept them. But I don't think it would have been
I mean, it
close.
would. Nah, I mean, I think we would have won. I think it would have been 7 games. And like
Yeah, right.
Simeon,
I got you.
Seager went on a ridiculous run.
Yeah,
He was the hottest hitter in that playoffs aside from Alvarez.
I completely agree. Um, I could also see an idea of getting a guy like Ryan Helsley would be pretty cool. But at the same time, we just talked about the Cardinals might not be selling. He was on my
Yep.
list, but at the same time, might not be selling. And I like the Michael Kopech. Michael Kopech is young and he's good.
Yep.
Um, he would be fun. But at the same time, like you make a very good point. Like the White Sox need people so then fans come to watch them. Like they need players like that. And if you sell away all your good players, then ain't no one watching. So I could see a very real scenario them keeping their big three guys because
Mm-hmm.
Crochet's awesome too. Like Crochet is like gross, but
He's gonna be really good.
like, he's already really good, which is crazy. So and I didn't see that coming because he let up a lot of home runs to start the year, Crochet, and then all of a sudden he's just hot. But whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna say it again, but Tanner Scott or Mason Miller are my two guys that I want. But the problem with Miller is though, I think we've talked about this, but it would take the house to get him. The house. And I don't want to give up the house.
If the only way we could sell everyone except for either Painter or Miller,
Mhm.
I'm only doing that if we also get Brett Rooker.
I agree.
If we
Because
can
Rooker
somehow
would be
get a
awesome.
bat, if we can get a good bat out of that trade,
Yeah.
I would do it.
Dude, Rooker at CBP would go crazy.
And I was big on who was it, Rooker and JP Sears last year as a
Yes.
batter pitcher combo.
Yeah. Sears
Why
falling
not,
off
dude?
though.
Why not Patrick? Come on, put me together. Bring me Miller and Rooker.
Right?
Package those two
Oh
together.
my god, that would be ridiculous. Although we would take all like that's what's keeping the A's afloat. And if we took that, they'd be done. They would win
Mm-hmm.
no more games. Um, yeah. And I think and I like that we put this down in our notes as well. But I this lineup would be amazing. And I'm just gonna read it out when everyone's healthy and if the bullpen is the only move we do. A Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Bohm, JT, Stott, Casty, Marsh, Sosa lineup would be ridiculous with Sosa playing left and Marsh playing center. That would be ridiculous. That's a good.
That's gonna be another thing I could talk about for a while. Is like if Sosa works out in left field, and he continues to hit around 280,
Yeah,
we might be good out there.
I agree. Um, so it's all very up in the air for us, and it's very much. I mean, as a fan, I love this. Like this is
Yep.
great because the only way that we could like do moves is for us to get better, which is awesome.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. I'm excited to see what they do.
me too. Okay. Do you have anything else for today?
No, that's all.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I would like to say thank you so much for all the support on TikTok. We've been killing it recently. I'm killing it with all the TikTok series, which is super fun for me to make and for you guys to see. So thank you for that. Check us out on all our socials. We're going to try to do this once a week, well, twice a week. So look out for some videos. All right. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Yep.